Welcome to the NWI.com Political Roundtable for Thursday, May the 8th. I'm Robert Blaskowitz, Assistant Managing Editor of The Times. Join with me, Doug Ross, Editorial Page Editor of The Times, and Times Assistant Managing Editor, Krista Zavanovic. Let's talk about, we just met a couple nights ago on election night, so if you haven't viewed that one, you can go back and take a look at that video from that we taped Tuesday night. Fresh off the election results, but one of among the fallout of the election has been some tension in Porter County between Commissioner John Evans and Porter County Assessor John Snyder.
Right, and so here's what happened. John Snyder backed candidates that were in opposition to the ones that John Evans backed.
Jim Biggs, most notably, county council member.
Exactly,
Jim Biggs.
Exactly. Who squeaked by with 11 votes. And so in retaliation is what, is any normal person's guess. In retaliation, Snyder found out Wednesday, the day after, that he's going to have to give up some of his office space and also the county car that, frankly was just sitting there. And so John Evans says, well, I can do this because I'm president of the commissioners, even though it's a 3-member board of commissioners. Mm-hmm. So now we've, really brought it down to a power struggle in Porter County between the two. What's interesting about this is that Snyder is one of the group that Bob Wyshlinski and so forth, the group of
the auditor, yes, the county auditor,
right.
Yeah.
And so there was the group that basically deals with finances, and so they came up with this total quality management idea, save the county money. And they've gotten a lot of backlash over that, and so I see this as an outgrowth of that backlash, but with the special aspect of pushing against Evans's
right.
person.
Most recently, we saw Bob Wyshlinski, the auditor, clash with Evans over some cuts that he made in his department.
Right, and so Wyshlinski cut a quarter of his staff, as I recall, and so
and has been going after what he considers to be potential property tax scofflaws.
Exactly,
who've been flying under the radar for a long time, and he's going after non-traditional, sources of revenue.
And we saw this with the Preach It case,
right?
And so here we are with these cases to improve government and. He's getting backlash. Well, now here's my thinking: is that what do you need to get elected if you're the old-time politician? And I don't care where you are, whether it's Lake County, Porter County, or wherever, you're going to need the patronage army. And if somebody's cutting the number of employees in your unit of government, that hurts your patronage, and cuts your support. So it'll be really interesting to see how this comes out.
Yeah. Let's move over the county line to Lake County, and some interesting things happening there, Krista, in terms of county finances, and some expenses that are bills that are going to have to be paid.
Look for the story later today online and in print tomorrow. But Lake County Council was faced today with 2 mandates. One, Sheriff Bunsich possibly thinking that his win, which means he probably will be elected sheriff in November, asking for 24 more correctional officers for Lake County to the tune of more than $700,000, and state court employees. They're facing a request to raise the pay of state court employees who have not had raises in a while. And so now with the new income tax, they are trying to take as much as they can. That's probably going to be, in the hundreds of thousands too. So the county council is facing some serious requests for money.
Well, and that's exactly right. What I wonder is when you look at the income tax, okay, it's 1.5%. So 1% goes to property tax relief. Can't do anything with that. 1/4% goes to economic development. Jail is not economic development. I don't care. But 1/4% does go to public safety. So, you've got the E911 that's going to chew up money too, the consolidation, I mean. And
for which about 20 million has already been borrowed.
So where are you getting the money for all of these new staff
Precisely.
members? And it's not like you don't need the correctional officers. I mean, we have to meet federal standards.
And it's not like
question.
maybe these positions in the state courts should not be given raises to after having their salaries depressed for a while. So
It'll be tough.
Yeah. Let's move on finally to state politics, where there's more talk we're hearing about Mike Pence, Governor Pence, being a possibility in the Republican field for president for 2016. What are you hearing, and what do you think the prospects are for a possible Pence presidential candidacy?
I hear from a lot of people who say we want him to run, but it's because they want him out of the governor's office. And admittedly, a lot of these are Democrats.
Yeah, and it's the election for president is 2016. That's also the election for governor in 2016.
Right.
So.
And you can't run for both. Now, here's what complicates this, is that you can raise money for a federal race, but that money is separate from the money that you can raise for a state race. So, probably what's going to happen is Governor Pence, like Governor Daniels did before him, sets up, a big PAC that amasses money where, Indiana, he has two choices. He can use the money for his own campaign, or he can influence other campaigns.
At the federal level.
Right.
He opens a federal
exactly.
PAC.
But then he's going to need state money as well for his own campaign. So that's going to be interesting watching him fundraise at two levels. But he is, he's speaking
People
next
pointed
month,
out
as I recall.
he was in Florida, and
right.
now he's...
Wisconsin's, coming up.
Yeah.
So, he's making the circuit.
He is making the circuit.
And I think where he really made a splash is the whole Common Core issue, because Indiana was the first state, basically, to get rid of Common Core.
Which we still really do have Common Core.
Right.
It's kind of a joke.
Well,
It's just taken out some of the more sensible ways to implement
And that's
it.
kind of the interesting dynamic going on, is that nationally this plays great with the conservative base that doesn't like Common Core.
Pro-states' rights.
Yeah, but then in Indiana, I don't think anyone's happy with the way this has gone. The people, there's a lot of people in education who think this is just a big waste of money. But even the opponents to Common Core look at the new Indiana standards and say, well, they're just warmed over Common Core.
Right.
They didn't really do anything here.
Well, and weakened in some cases.
Right. So no one is really happy.
But it's going to cost us millions more now to implement the new fake Common Core.
So, I think within Indiana, I think, as you referenced, Doug, there's a lot of people that aren't really happy with Pence, especially in comparison to his predecessor, Mitch Daniels. And yet nationally, what he's done in Indiana really helps him nationally.
It's interesting. I've heard Republicans in Indiana say he's no Mitch Daniels, but nationally he's perceived as not a fringe figure, so therefore a good potential candidate.
Well, and frankly, I think a good potential vice presidential candidate, but you got to put yourself forward as a presidential candidate to be able to get the number 2 spot on the ticket.
And maybe that's the end game here.
Well,
but if it is, it'll be interesting to see then what happens with the governor's office. It makes it wide open. Is it Sue Ellspermann who ascends,
Lieutenant Governor,
or does the Republican Party see the opportunity for other people to throw their hats in the ring? So.
Well, that, and what's going to be the big issue? Is it going to be fiscal responsibility in Indiana,
or gay marriage?
Exactly, and that's coming up.
Are they going to appeal to the fringe, or are they going to try and fly a more fiscally responsible?
If they go to the gay marriage issue, that gives the Democrats, who frankly are really disorganized. If they came together quickly around a good candidate, then that would give the Democrats a possibility.
And that is the one advantage the Republicans still have, is that there is really no one clearly a clear candidate for the Democrats that will emerge.
Right. So who knows?
Yep. Well, we'll keep an eye on that, and we'll obviously discuss it in future weeks. But that's all the time we have this week. Thank you for watching this week's Political Roundtable.